Hello, this is Johnny Cycles again with CyclesGaming.com. I'm here for our fourth match with Dragons in Modern, our Dimir deck. Well, we're on the draw again, unfortunately, but we do have a lot of action. Thassa, Fatal Push, Counterspell, we have a lot. So we don't have any Murktide regions, but we do have ways to find it, and we have a lot of interaction, not action, I should say. So we'll see what our opponent's doing. Oh, Misty Rainforest could be anything, right? So I think what we need to do is fetch shock, because we definitely want to have double blue for counterspell next turn. Go to 15, unfortunately. And Thoughtseize our opponent, see what they have. Maybe they're playing main deck Spell Pierce. Man, I hate playing Money Pile if that's what this is. Veil of Summer main deck. Okay, is this the new, is it? Very nice for them. Is it Murktide playing Splashing Green for main deck Veil of Summer, or is this something totally different? At this point, I'm fully expecting basically isn't Murktide every game until I see otherwise. It's just so prevalent. We have the Fatal Push if they manage to stick a thread. Okay, digging. That's what we plan on doing, I think. We're missing another blue source for our counter spell, so that's the main reason. Okay, interesting. Well, so far I'm confused but happy. At least it's something seemingly janky. If it's not janky, it's something new. So that's... Alright, we really, at this point, want a blue source and a Murktide on top. Bam. Well, what do we do? I mean, those are the exact cards we want right now, but we really need to hit our land drops. So I think we're going to put the, I mean, I can't turn these two cards down. Oh, that's really awkward though, because we have the Spell Pierce we have the Spell Pierce here, but no way to cast it if they want to stick a Planeswalker. And if, let's say, they play a white source and play a 3 fairy, then all of our counter magic is dead. Okay. We know what we're drawing, but we'll have a chance. Lotus Field. Okay. So I am not very familiar with this combo. From what I understand, it's played a lot in Pioneer, which I played a little Pioneer back in the day. There's our island, so we're going to put this on the bottom and this on the top. Play our island and really hope this Spell Pierce does some work. Leaning hard into the Spell Pierce, followed up by what, a Murktide? I don't even know. That swamp is really making this game awkward for us. Amulet of Vigor. Can't Spell Pierce that, or, well, we could. They pay the 2 mana for it, and then still play their Lotus Field. Ouch. Okay, well, we'll see. I'm not really sure what the play is here. I know that they're gonna float 2 mana and then have a total of 5. We can hope that they follow that up with some sort of instant or sorcery. Oh, I guess it's only sacrificing 2 lands. Yep. So they'll still get the 5 mana if they want to. What is their finisher? Is it a creature? Is it a planeswalker? I just don't know this deck. Which is exciting, because it's fun to play something different, but it also makes the game a bit harder. If that was Swamp was an island, things would be a lot different right now. Alright, so they want to now make a whole bunch of mana. We still can't profitably spell pierce. Interesting. Well, let's find out. I hope it's one of the Teamer Command or whatever they call that, where they get to do a bunch of fun things. Song of Creation. Whenever you cast a spell, draw 2 cards. At the beginning of your step, discard your hand. So we could spell pierce that, force them to spend some mana, and try to slow them down, or we can continue to hold it up in hopes to actually stop whatever it is they're doing. I could Google up what this deck does, but I don't want to do that. I don't feel like that's very fair. So we're just going to see if we can slow them down, stop them from going off this turn, make them spend their mana. Maybe they'll realize, maybe they'll forget they have 3 mana. Nope. Either way, it gives us another instant in the graveyard for our Murktide. Yeah, they're just going to go off. Man, what a fun deck that looks like. Turn 4, though. We're so slow, apparently. They were on the play again. Preordain. Yeah, digging for answers. Drawing a whole bunch of cards. Well, as far as content goes, at least you viewers get to see a different type of deck than I've normally played against. One that might be fun to watch, because I'm not going to be doing much this game, it feels like. Holding up this Fatal Push like it's going to really do anything. But you never know. I guess I could probably wait to the end step, but since I don't know what they're doing, I'm just going to keep clicking OK. It seems like a fair deck, though, right? I mean, turn 4, if they're going off on turn 4, I think that's fine. Theoretically, I should have had more interaction. Would have had the counter spell had I not had this weird. Okay, so you may tap and untap target permanent, then we. All right, and I think Cipher. Well, maybe it's a Storm deck, and then they're going to eventually grape shot me for a bazillion. So just every time they can even play. Oh, they can just play 1 additional land. Okay. All right. So I've played against decks similar like Storm and other types of combo decks like this in the past, specifically with my Gruul Dragons deck. And sometimes it does pay just to wait it out. I think sometimes opponents just assume you're going to scoop, but they don't always have it. They will. These decks have been known to fizzle despite the number of cards they're drawing. Now, unlike in this situation where they fizzled against my Gruul Dragons deck, they were dead on the swing back. Here, we'll be lucky we'll cast a turn 4 Murktide Regent into against an opponent with a handful of cards and basically infinite mana. But the other reason not to scoop is since I'm not entirely sure what the win condition of this deck and what they're actually going to do, I want to watch and find out. Once I figure out video editing, I can start fast forwarding these types of long turns. I'm not even reading the cards that they're playing. I mean, okay, they're just drawing through their deck, looking for something, not sure what. Whatever it is, we may still Fatal Push it just to get the instant in our graveyard and have an 8/8 Murktide. I mean, that will tap down our Murktide, though. Yeah, this looks like the Pioneer deck, but with Amulet of Vigor and probably some other upgrades that I don't know about. But I also am not familiar with that deck anymore. I never was, really. I played Pioneer many years ago when it first came out. It was pretty exciting. it felt, I started playing Magic again back in like 2011, 2012, so Pioneer felt like a return to those days where I got to play Goblin Rabble Master and Brimaz and some of my favorite cards, try to make them work again. Had a Super Friends deck that was really fun. Never got too into it though. Maybe I'll start making a few videos. Maybe Dragons have a future in Pioneer, since Modern they seem to go 1 and 4 or 2 and 3 more often than not. And opponent is up to 23 cards. And is that 7 cards in their library? So what is their end game? Nexus of Fate? I mean, will we eventually have them draw all their library and die? I can't imagine that's going to be the case when they've drawn their entire deck and have 11, and they have 11 mana plus whatever is out here. I wonder if opponents just like so happy to be going off that they're not paying attention to how many cards are in their library, or if this will be the last time. Down to 2 cards. I mean, look, 1 red mana and we're dead to the... Oh, it's a Thassa's Oracle deck. I see. So this is why we kept the Fatal Push. So what we want to do is, when it enters the enter the battlefield trigger on the stack, I guess, we're going to Fatal Push the Thassa's Oracle. Does this do it? I don't know. They still win. Oh, that doesn't matter. What does that say? See, if X is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. Got it. So it didn't really matter if it was on the battlefield or not. Okay, well, that was fun. What do we want to do? So that's really, I don't even know, spreading seas, maybe? It seems like we're just gonna need to be faster. Sometimes this is how Modern goes. You play against a deck that is basically goldfishing and you have 0 ways to interact. I mean, obviously we have a lot of ways to interact in the main deck with our counter magic, Thought Seas, things like that. But I'm not sure we have any help in our sideboard. I mean, we can bring in a Spreading Seas and maybe snag a Lotus Field with it. They're not really searching up. They may have a way to shuffle back in. No, they're just a Thassa's Oracle deck. I wonder what their alternate win con is, if they have one. Spell Pierce, Stern Scolding. I mean, that counters the... See, if that had been a blue source, we would have countered the Thassa's Oracle, and assuming they had not a single counter spell in their own hand, which after drawing their entire deck, it's hard to imagine they wouldn't. Man, it feels like we have the tools to beat this deck, and we just, again, being on the draw and having a bit of color problems with a basic swamp and having to dig for an island really put us back, unable to do what we needed to do, or unable to hold up the mana to interact with the combo, because we had the counter spell. At some point, we could have tried to counter, like, let's say this Thassa's Oracle. All right, so back to this. Subtlety, maybe. Might as well. Let's take out... I mean, the trolls seem pretty slow. All right, well, let's see. All right, we do have some interaction. We have our colors. We have a way to fill our sort of fill our graveyard. Definitely keep. We'll do a preordained main to start. Dig for some answers, perhaps. Force of negation could be good. Another preordained doesn't seem bad. I doubt could. Okay, well, I mean, Amina Vigord has been proven to be good, so why don't we put this on top? Put this on top. Pass the turn. Yeah, so some of these decisions are challenging, especially with the preordain and against a deck I don't know how to play against. Do we want to take a turn off to cast preordain here and just have the spell pierce and put our guard down with counterspell? I think the answer is yes. Murktide, Stern Scolding. That seems like, again, I don't know what our opponent's bringing in, but do we want a second Murktide with no great way to fill our graveyard? So I think we're going to put this on top and this on the bottom. And hold up the Stern Scolding or the Spell Pierce. I can't imagine what they're going to do with Stern Scolding unless they did a transformational sideboard and brought in some creatures. This can hit the Thassa's Oracle, assuming they don't also have a lot of counter magic, which I assume they bring in Veil of Summer to draw a card. I mean, we'll go ahead and Spell Pierce this. We have the Force of Negation. We want another instant in our graveyard to get us to a Murktide. If we have to, we can go ahead and pitch Stern Scolding or Counterspell to Force. Preordain. Do we want to do that for the Murktide? That would allow us to cast a Murktide next turn. I think we let that go and see what they do, what their next play is. Try to get an amulet or something. Ooh, Urza Saga. Well, can't counter that. Spreading Seas is a nice answer to the Urza Saga, however. So we will definitely cast that. Draw us a card. So the Spreading Seas actually had more than one target. And it just goes away. I love it. All right, that was a good play for us. We still have a Stern Scolding should they play a creature, and we have the Force if they want to go somewhere else. And we will force something here just to get another. Okay, that was good. Still doesn't let us have counter magic up though. But we have the Force of Negation if we need to protect it on our turn. Hopefully our opponent will struggle still with their mana. Veil of Summer. This time we're going to have to let that go to keep up Force for kill spell. I can't imagine what kind of kill spell they're playing. They have all those tap spells though, I know that much. If they want to waste it on our Murktide, that's okay. Alright, so now, but basically we have a whole bunch of ways of interacting right now. So we have a counterspell where we're going to put this into play and go to combat. We will counter a tap spell at this point because we need to close this game out as fast as possible and we have 3 turns. So if we get one hit in after, and then, alright, so we're going to get a hit in. They're on a 2-turn clock. We have Counterspell, Force of Negation to help protect us against whatever nonsense they might get up to this turn and the next turn, hopefully, and then kill them dead in 2 turns. Well, we can't counter that, but we can counter their untap spell. with the mana to pay. Okay, and they scoop it up. All right. We cracked the code. Have our opponent get mana screwed. Have some counter magic to interact with them. Spreading Seas has proven to be better than I thought in a lot of matchups. It helped us beat the Boros Artifact deck, and now it's shut off their Urza Saga. So now I know they have Urza. We could bring in the Ashiok. Just not sure. I mean, those constructs are brutal. Maybe we bring in engineered explosives. That's just not what they're up to, though. I mean, they could be taking turns off to make constructs with the pressure on us. We did take out our fatal pushes after all. Should we just run it back? Stern Scolding is good in one spot, I feel like, and that is in stopping Thassa's Oracle from resolving. It's better than Fatal Push for that in that regard. Will they bring in any graveyard hate? So real quick, how scared am I of Urza constructs? And do I want to bring in Ashioks to help shut down the searching? Or the engineering explosives to blow up the constructs? I feel like if I'm blowing up constructs, I'm probably already losing. That's not their game plan. And with the Ashiok, can stop them from getting the Amulet of Vigor. But it doesn't come down to turn 3. I'll just run it back and hope for a good opening hand. Alright, so Thoughtseize is good. Man, that's a lot of land, though. So we can Thoughtseize, Preordain, and hope to find answers. But 5 lands are so many lands. They're mulliganing to 6. They play Veil of Summer. Alright, I mean, that could go really wrong for us. So let's try 1 mulligan. 1 island, 1 swamp, 2 Murktide Regents. Not ideal. But I don't want to go to 5. So we're going to keep this, and we're actually going to pitch the Draco Lich because this will give us something to pitch to the Force while still keeping counter magic up and having the Murktide to cast eventually. So that's the reason why we got rid of that. And obviously Murktide is our best card, but we don't have any ways to fill in the graveyard right now. Could have forced that. Gotcha. Thoughtseize. So it's going to come in tapped, I guess, or is that how that works? All right, so we can either go island setup, hopefully for the counterspell, or this to help set up for the Thoughtseize next turn, assuming that I remember what this card does. Let me just check real fast, since this is my card. Here's the article I'm working on for the website. I don't know. It does come into play untapped. Alright, so I'm thinking of a different land. Alright, so that we will Thoughtseize. It's legendary to reduce the cost of getting it back. Wow. Alright, so they have the Urza Saga, which is bad for us. They have the Lotus, which is good for them. We can only have one choice, so we're taking that. And hope we don't die to constructs, because we don't really have any way to interact. Unless we draw that Spreading Seas right now. Spreading Seas would be a really good draw again. So Spreading Seas into a blue source. Thought Scour, not a bad draw. So let's see, Urza Saga's gone, and they have an unknown and 3 lands. I think we hold up pretend like we have counter magic. Thought Scour to end of their turn. Are they going to make constructs? Looks like that's their plan. Not a bad plan. It's making me think I should have brought in the engineered explosives, but we'll see. All right, counterspell. Sorry, no help. So what we could really use right now is an island. Sigh number 2. Dragon Turtle, not at its best right now. All right, so we have a handful of reaction and 2 Murktide regions, but we're not hitting our second blue source. And we're not hitting a third land at all. So we're really not doing great right now. The constructs are going to start beating face. I think missing this land drop is going to be enough to cost us the game. Unfortunately. So is it a risky keep? I don't know. Yep. I mean, the turtle can tap down a construct if that ever becomes relevant. They're going to go get an amulet, I imagine, play their Lotus field, untap it, and have a bunch of mana. Urza Saga, man, good card. See what they do next, if they do anything. I guess they played. No, oh, they're not going to play. They're going to just go for the Urza Saga beats. Yeah, I mean, this is why I was thinking so hard on engineered explosives. I guess what I was hoping for was, there's our second island. Man, just a turn too late. What I was really hoping for was I'm sorry, I'm trying to think through this play. Do I want to say Dragon Turtle tap down a construct? Do I want to Murktide and try to win the race that I'm not going to win? They're going to make another construct. Okay, so I think what we're going to do is preserve our life total 1 turn. Tap down with the Dragon Turtle. Hope to draw Spreading Seas or a Fatal Push. And get a bigger Murktide region. Combat. Man, I gotta get used to these no notification sounds. I almost clicked through combat. Do they have a counterspell? Do they bring in counterspells? Are they reading Dragon Turtle and going, well, you know what plays a Dragon Turtle in Modern? And they play those, but they do play those Twiddle Storms. They could just untap it. Okay, well, we'll see what they do. Anyway, this is why I thought so hard about the engineered explosives, was for this very scenario. And I guess I was hoping that the Spreading Seas would do what they did last game, which is wreck our opponent's plan. So what we need is, I guess, a Fatal Push, and then into a big Murktide. Could have forced that, but at this point, I'm just not even sure it matters. We're drawing into, we need a Fatal Push or Thought Scour. So we Thought Scour, hopefully hit another island, and then cast a 6/6 Murktide that at least will let us, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, block one of the constructs without it dying. I just don't think there's much we can do right now to get out of this. We're too far behind. Urza Saga is a one land army that is about to wreck our day. Well, we can go get an island. That was short of a fatal push, perhaps our best draw, because we can now do what we had planned to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we can block profitably, assuming they don't have one of their tap-untap spells, and just tap down our Murktide Regent and swing in for almost lethal. It would be lethal. So another construct, another artifact. At least it's not looking good. Not looking good at all. Guess we'll force a negation their tap spell if they have one. Block. Wow, they're not even going to attack. Did not see that coming. Going for the throat next turn, maybe. All right, so what is their plan? Their plan is to tap down our Murktide and possibly the Dragon Turtle, swing in for a lethal. Or I imagine that's what they're going to do. So if we play another Murktide, that does give us another body for no value, basically. Fetching and shocking puts us to 8, which then puts us to dead. All right, because we'd go to 2 essentially. If we swing in, we die. So I think we're in big trouble still. Pass the turn. Trying to figure out how the opponent thinks they're going to kill us. Go for one massive swing after tapping our creature, I guess is their plan. Get a Lotus field just because they can. Otawara. Well, that is also a way to beat us. That was a good line. That was a clever line. I was expecting a tap spell, but they went with a channel land that is uncounterable. 2 bounce, swing in, and kill us for not quite dead yet. But we can't crack this fetch, and we're not in a good spot because now we have our giant Murktide becomes very small. Oh, we are dead. There's 4 of them. Okay, well, GG's. Man, tough loss. Got 1 game against them, again being on play versus draw. But that's it. We lose the match. This is Johnny Cycles. Thanks for watching. Dragons in Modern on cyclesgaming.com. I'll see you in the next match. Going for that big 2-3 dream.